right, welcome back to another episode of Dibbling and Dabbling. I am your girl, Voni No Geo.
I'm your girl, Dally D.
And today on this episode, we are going to talk about dating for years and not getting that ring. Talking about you should have put a ring on it. Okay. Before we get started, how you doing, my girl?
I am doing good, just enjoying this beautiful weather we have here on a Sunday, but also just trying to relax. But how are you doing?
I'm all right, doing the same, enjoying the weather, hoping before the rain comes, because the rain is coming.
Again, and I was like, come on now.
Yeah, but I know my allergies are messing with me, that's for sure. uh, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into this topic, you guys. So me and Dallas, we seen a clip on Instagram regarding one of these famous singers, and her guy were talking about just being together for a long time, and would they been together for 4 years? They would get it for 10 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Whenever they were answering the young lady's question, the young lady was saying that her and her boyfriend, they have been together for 10 years and have been living together for about 4 of those 10 years. And she was saying he still hasn't like proposed or even talked about marriage with her.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel about that?
Girl, I think it's an absolute mess. I'm sorry. Like I don't I mean, and like I said, it's so crazy. As someone that's married, I totally understand that one, marriage is not for everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if it's one, and it's funny because Queen Naija had talked about it too, when they were giving their response. But she made a really good point. She was saying that if marriage is the goal for one of the two people, then it definitely needs to be discussed.
That
So,
is true.
I feel like being together for 10 years and we haven't even talked about it. And if we have talked about it, you still haven't proposed. To me, that's red flag behavior because it sounds like you don't even really want to get married for real, for real. And like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not something that's on your radar, then what are we still doing? Because I know, like, for me, before I got married, at one point, marriage was really not on discussion. But when I got older and was, tired of being heartbroken, all this bullshit, I was like, no, like marriage is for me. And if we're not talking about it, what are we doing together? So
Right.
that's just kind of how I view, that part of the scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I think I've never lived with no one, because that's the thing. If we're gonna live together, what are we doing? What are we
Right.
like? You're not just gonna be up in here just in my space if we're not
Right.
trying to make a space together. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
yeah, I don't think that is a good idea. Like living together to not get married is just weird. Like y'all just shacking up. Like we too grown to be shacking up, right? Like I can't. But I do have a question though,
Mhm.
because why is it so important to get the ring? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a piece of paper,"
Yeah.
and I do not agree with that. I think being
Right.
married is very beneficial. For you need in not even like in the afterlife, because I know a lot of people that have been married or not married and their significant other passed, and it
Right.
was like a whole fiasco. Even just dating and your partner gets sick, a lot of things you can't make calls on, you
Yep.
can't. So I think that piece of paper is very important. But what do you think? Some people don't think that having a ring is a big deal. What's your view on that?
So it's just, I feel like one, I'm in complete agreement with you on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, girl, this is the Libra in me. I try to see things from both fucking sides, and like I'm not even big on the zodiac signs. Shout out to my girl A.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tag her in this video, and if you know AJ, she is very big on like zodiac signs. But anyway,
Uh,
because I'm a Libra, I see things on both angles, and I try to see it from different perspectives. Um,
mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of like, it depends on how you look at it. If you're talking just about like the physical ring, I don't see the importance of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like in terms of if you're getting married, like don't let having a physical ring or not the most expensive ring, be as a factor for you. Cause like for me, we got engaged uh right when the world shut down in 2020, and we
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have a ring or anything. And when we were looking at rings, after Larry had proposed, I told him I don't really want an expensive ring for real, anyways, because at the time we were working to throw a very big wedding. Like I'm talking about, our wedding would have cost over $20,000 had we
Mm-hmm.
did it. And so anyway, so I just feel like, like in that aspect, no, but in the aspect of how you described it, marriage is so much more than a piece of paper, for sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you brought up a good point as well. When, one of us is sick or in the hospital, if I wasn't Larry's legal wife, or at least his fiance, at least, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. Like he
Right.
would have had to get in touch with his mom or his next, emergency contact or whatever. What if they not answering? What are we gonna do? Like, Larry's just gonna have to just sit
Right.
till some decisions been made, and I'm like, I can't live with that. Another thing is with just being married, God forbid one of us pass away first, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to decide, you know what gets done with whatever. There's just so many different, like, positive and negative things that are associated with being married, but at least when you pass away, if I'm Larry's recipient on his life insurance, at least I'm taken care of financially.
That's true. That is true.
Like, if God forbid Larry never had put a beneficiary down, or they see that we weren't legally married or at least engaged, I wouldn't get nothing. And, like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have anything set aside for me, but that's one thing that life insurances help with, is those unexpected costs, and vice versa.
Definitely.
Like, if I
Mm-hmm.
pass away, like, I would want to make sure that Larry is financially okay until he figures out what he needs to do or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and also, and I think I look at it from other people's point of view too, is that it sucks because of, like, society. They glamorize being married. And it's not even just to me, I'm talking about, they glamorize the actual weddings. And I'm not saying
Right.
big extravagant weddings. They are gorgeous. They are beautiful, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not for everybody. And so it just seems that, like, so, society and, like, these, like, rich people, these celebs, whatever, they throw these lavish weddings and all this other stuff, and then they get divorced 2 years later. So
Right.
people, a lot of people think that marriage is not worth it because you do all this for this person, you have this big ass wedding, and y'all just get divorced 2 years later, and that's the mentality. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of my, like, perspectives on, I guess, marriage.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I would like to get married. For one, it's for love, of course, because you don't want to die by yourself, right?
No, no one.
uh, but like, yeah, I definitely think it's a lot of significance to it, like you said, because I know someone, they were together for like 10 years,
Mhm.
and the man passed, and when it came to funeral time, his kids took over. She got nothing.
Right.
Granted, I'm not saying you married to get stuff in the end either, but yeah, it just kind of like it didn't. On top of that, she wanted him to be buried in a certain spot. They took him all the way back to his hometown, so she can't even go visit the
Yeah.
grave for the birthday. Like, it's just a lot of different little things. Even in my own family, when my uncle passed, it was a lot because my uncle wasn't legally married, so that was like a whole little thing. Because the girlfriend wanted to make some changes, and my mom wasn't going for that. So it definitely plays a part. I do think society has a lot to do with the glamorization of it. Don't be wrong, because if I do get married, I don't want a big wedding. I want
Yeah.
my ring to be big. I want the big ring. I want that. I want to be walking. They be like, "Oh, that girl is married." You see me wave
Right.
because my ring is so big. But I never wanted the whole. Because I'm not gonna have a lot of bridesmaids.
Yeah.
I got like three good friends, so you'll be one. So,
I
um,
appreciate that.
yeah, I don't have a court. Yeah, I just kind of want to do something small, but I wanted to go to like a big honeymoon, big ring, right? But yeah, I don't. You can't come up in here if you don't have a plan. I'll just say that. If we're not talking about getting married, there is no reason. And don't be wrong. I think by us being so old now, not old but
Yeah.
older,
Yeah.
that needs to be discussed from the gate. Like, first date, I'm serious. Like, on my first dates, we do interviews. Okay, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want kids? Do you want to get married? Do you like? What's your religion? Do you follow Christ, or do you follow
Something.
somebody else?
Right. Right.
you know, I do interviews now because no, we're too old, and I'm not gonna be in the house with you for 5 years, and then you talk about some, oh, I ain't never want to get married, and I'm my whole time I'm thinking that we about to be together forever. So yeah, I think that should be definitely discussed sooner than later.
Yeah.
So
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I would know. I was just gonna say I completely agree, and it's just like I don't know, like, if this generation. I was just also gonna say it's like generational, like, I guess, like, trauma, because, like, now so many people are getting divorced and they've been together 15, 20, 25 years, and now everybody's like, well, shit, I'm not gonna get married because I'm just gonna get broken up with in 15 years, and I'm
Right.
like, you can't think like that. Like, you can't go. I'm not saying to not go into a marriage being scared, because I've only been I've been married for 3, almost 4 years, and I'm still fucking scared every day. But I'm not
Right.
scared of the fact that he and I will divorce. I'm more so scared. I was more so scared about, like, my life is different. Like, now it's not just Dallas and Larry, like there's like a separation. It's literally Dallas and Larry, like we are one now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was, more so of afraid of, like, oh, now I have to consider someone else's feelings for real. Like, what Larry does financially affects me, and vice versa. What I do
Mm-hmm.
financially affects him, da 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 da. So, but I think it's also just ignorant, for people just to automatically assume that you'll get divorced. And I'm like, yes, there are things that make divorces more like what's the word? Not high risk, but just more like, there's things that lead to high divorce rates, but
Right.
the narrative, like, you really don't know, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
But
another
then,
I kind of, it bugs me the wrong way.
because and I do think people go into it the wrong way too. Like I said, I've known some people. I was like, "Oh, y'all gonna get married? Like, what y'all plan?" They were like, "Oh no, we're not getting married because divorce is too high." But why do you plan on getting divorced? You
Thank you.
know,
Thank you.
and then like you say, because I know people. My godmother, she's been married for 30 something years, and so when they made their 30 year mark, a lot of people like, how y'all? I'm like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be with one person forever. Like that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Don't be wrong. I'm not saying I don't. Cause I mean, you can divorce, things do happen. It's because baby, you come up in here think you about to hit on me or do X Y Z. Yeah, you gotta go. But some things I do think we can work on too. Like I feel like a lot of people, especially like people at our age, and I know people that's been divorced twice
Mhm.
and we're the same age. And I'm like, I ain't even been married once yet. Like what the. And I'm like, well, what happened? And they're kind of telling, I'm like, y'all fighting over that. That's what you feel like you need to break up with him for? Like it wasn't no physical harm, no nothing with the kids. It was nothing. It was just you was tired, pretty much. I mean, sometimes you do get tired. I will say that, but yeah, definitely think society has a lot to do with that high risk. That would you say that high divorce rate?
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
agree.
And like, I like that you talked about, like, like, there's things that they could have worked on. Now, from our parents' generations, I feel like they're set in their ways. So if they divorced for whatever reason, they set in their ways. Cool, because my parents got divorced when, not my stepmom and my dad, but my biological mom and my dad, they got
Mm,
divorced. They had been, together for a while, and talking to my dad, and realizing, like, why they divorced. It wasn't, my dad did not cheat on my mom. It wasn't no physical.
mm,
It's just my dad was gone a lot. He was active duty in the military, and
mm.
it's just, he just was gone a lot, which I totally understand. But they're older than us, so what they had to go through was a lot different. Especially in our community, ain't no such thing
Right, definitely.
as therapy. Back then, there wasn't no. You really only had the Lord, which I'm not saying to not pray to Jesus about, because pray to Jesus about all, but you really only had your family members and or your
Mm-hmm.
friends. Some of them niggas can't even get right. So it's just like,
Right.
like,
No,
back,
really.
they didn't really have no outlet but to divorce. But now, I feel like with our generation and Gen Z, we're more open and willing to talk about things
Mm,
with a licensed professional, not just relying on our friends and our family. So I feel like
right.
there really wasn't any type of abuse, whether it's with, kids, emotional, physical, sexual. If there's really no major trauma or abuse, I definitely understand. Like, I feel like at least all avenues should be checked out before, you go
Mm,
for divorce. But like I said, on the other side, I get it. Some people are just tired, and
right.
they've tried and just, like, nothing seems to work. And so go ahead and get divorced. I support people who get divorces. I get it. But
Mm,
I just don't like how that all of that, still makes someone just automatically closed off from marriage.
right.
But besides the abuse stuff, where we're not talking about that, but everything else, it's like you can't automatically assume like that's how your marriage would
It's
end.
gonna be right. Because that's why we like compare that social media. It'll do it to you, comparing yourself to other people. Everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
So especially your love journey. Because everybody you love different. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely. So how long do you think you would have waited if Larry wouldn't have proposed when he proposed?
So, okay, so background, Larry and I have been together for, it'll be 6 years come end of August and going into September. And
Mm,
we got, let me see, we got engaged in 2020. So we were together for almost the full 2 years. then we got engaged. I would say if I had to do it all over again, after about year 4, I would start really questioning because, like I said, at the time when I was, dating and stuff, and when I met Larry, I wasn't really looking to not get married. I'm not saying I need to get married like within a year, but I would have liked to be married before I'm 30 because also getting married later in life, I have to consider kids and other things that
Right.
affect my health. So for me, I would have had between 4.5 years. I'm like, hey, yo, what are we doing? And then at like year 5 to 6, if it still has not proposed, and we have already been living together too, because you got to think about that. When did you start living with your person, anyways? Um,
Right.
we started getting married. Sorry, I'm like going all over the place. We started living together at year 2 because we had got engaged. So if we had been together longer than that, living together longer than that too, around like year 5, I probably would have called it a day. I probably would have called it a day. Because I feel like at this point, people say it all the time, men know within the first at least year, they know if they're serious, men know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that would have been my cutoff for me is about year 5, it would have been completely done. But at least year 4, I'd have been like, okay, like, is it still what you want? Because if it's not, I'm not wasting another 4 years with you, you know?
Right, right. And you made a point when you say like you want to get married before you're 30. So now that I'm 32, that's why I say it's straight interviews at this point because if you talk about having kids, my life, that biological clock is ticking. So
Right.
do you see it?
I saw her little ears pop up.
So yeah, so that's why definitely what are we doing? Because we don't have any more time to waste. I got about a good what they say 40, but I don't want to do that after 40. So if you come in right now, we need to do this kind of fast. And I hate that because not a society, that's like a health thing more than anything. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be dying on the table. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Being a parent, like I commend a lot of moms, because yeah, birth is beautiful, but it's definitely scary. It's a beautiful blessing, but it's a nightmare too, in a sense. You know what I mean? Because you just don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm not gonna take that risk with my boyfriend. You have to be my husband. Because it's things that can happen. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm glad you brought that up because people just think that having babies is yeah, they are cool, they are cute, but
Right.
it's a lot of work. And I have never had a baby, but I do know from what I've seen and heard, and because I have never went to an actual birth. I've been invited to so many births. So I was like, I didn't want to be like scarred in a sense.
Yes, I
You
get
know what I mean?
you.
So, but yeah, like definitely something to think about, especially at this big age of 32. Yeah, no, you can't. Boy, we got. It's too many risks out here, and yeah, we don't have the time.
So hard too. Like you know how you talked about like society. It's like hard because like it's weird because society at one point was like saying like, oh, go ahead and get married, when you're young, because then you have your whole lives together. But then also we live in a culture now, society, like they encourage people to wait. And it's not even that. Women and men too. We're more educated.
Hmm.
Now
Yeah.
we got to deal with the bullshit ass economy. We can't afford anything anyways. So it's like we're in like a weird spot. It's like I didn't want to rush to get married, but at the same time, it's like because like I have my whole life, to live life. But at the same time,
Hmm.
like you said, we got to consider other things too. So it's just like
Right.
now I'm married and I'm happily married, but now we're deciding when we want kids and like kids move on God's time at that. But
True.
if I can have them when I'm a little bit more young, I don't have I don't have as many, health risk and stuff than I would if I can. So it's just it's a weird time for everybody. Baby, she going crazy.
Hey, I can't wait to get back in the studio because
I know. We're going back to the studio soon, like in the next couple of
she's
weeks.
so she's so disrespectful. Stop. We gonna find you a daddy. I promise. Okay.
Gotta find her. Okay.
So, I got one more question. This is a question because I've been seeing this kind of floating on social media. I'm not. I personally, I'm not like super religious, but I do believe in God, of course. I am a Christian. I've been baptized. Yes, ma'am. Amen. So I do believe he who finds a good wife finds a good thing. Okay, that's what I believe. So that's why I said my husband, he out there, his GPS just broke. He haven't found me yet, but he coming. Okay, he turning the corner. Okay, but would you propose to a guy if you weren't married? Would you do that?
Absolutely the fuck not. Absolutely the fuck not. It's crazy because we talked about that. I don't know why the messages went over my head, but no, absolutely not. And the reason, it's not even, it ain't got shit to do with traditionals, nothing. But for me, it's like, if you want me to come into your family, me to change my last name, I gotta give up all of this freedom because, especially if you believe that like a man should lead, a man should be the household, whatever. If you want all of that, baby, you need to propose to me because now I gotta change my life. You will never catch me on nobody's day proposing to no able-bodied grown ass man. No, can't be me.
So I was talking to this guy. This is maybe, I don't know, maybe like, this was a while back. I'll just say that. And he said that in his mind, men make the decision if a woman gonna get married or not. Do you think that? Because like you just said, hold on, let me get this dog. Come on. You just disrespectful. Come on, go this way. So he said that pretty much the man is the reason why, like he makes a decision if a woman's gonna get married because he's the one that proposes.
Right.
It's on his time in a sense. But I'm like, is that really true? Because I mean, not saying that we'll put pressure on a guy. Come on, shut up. Okay, stop. He's not saying that we'll. I should just locked her out.
Right,
not saying we put pressure on men, but we do. I feel like we do. Like, hey, like you said, what are we doing? What's going on? So, do you think that's true? That he's like how he said that men make, is it men's timing in a sense?
In a sense, yes, but it's like, it's so hard because that is a great point. It's a great point because if we as women are expected to be proposed to change our last name, it is on his time. But at the same time, I feel like you should be respectful of your woman's time too. We're also waiting, so it's just like, like this is our time that has to be considered too. But that's a hard one. That's a hard one. But he does make a decent point.
Because when he said it, I was like, what you mean? Like, what you? And I was like, damn. Definitely a good point. Yeah, because it is kind of in his time, like I said, but at the same time, as a real man, you're not gonna have me waiting forever if you really love me or whatever the case may be. And then as a woman, you're gonna like, wait, hold on. Like you said, what are we doing? What's taking so long? Not, like what's the goal here? So yeah, then that's why I'd be willing to do the whole dating thing. But like I said, I'm not gonna be dating you for no 10 years and we just stuck. I got a ring that made my finger turn green. No, and it's real. Like, you know what I mean? So, people be having this ring on for what? Can't do it. No, we're not gonna be engaged for 10 years and nah. Now you got no, can't do it.
That reminds me of who is it? What is it? Chrissy and Jim Jones. I swear to God.
And I love them both, but I was just like,
so bad for Chrissy, bro. But I'm like, girl, you need to leave. But
yeah, I was like, I mean, if they're happy, they're happy. But when I seen, I was like, oh, I knew I don't. But and think about when I seen that episode, we were kids. Like I was like,
yeah,
I don't think I was 18 yet, and I was like, oh, nah, I ain't never seen nothing like that.
I was saying, I never heard of that. And then when I started, growing up, and I'm just like. But anyways, but no, I'm the same way, girl. I already know your answer gonna be no if you ever propose to a man because I just don't have it in me.
Nah, I think not. Like no. The dudes that I mess with, I don't even want to. Nope. The answer is no. The answer is no. Nope.
No, just couldn't do it. I don't blame you. I don't.
Yeah, no. That is funny.
But that was a good discussion today, guys. That's pretty much all we have for this episode. So we promise we're going to be back in the studio soon. So stay tuned. We have a lot more exciting things coming to our podcast. But as always, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Dibble and Dab Podcast. Make sure you go follow us on all social media platforms at Dibble and Dab Pod. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify for podcasts. As always, make sure you always follow your host. Oh, not us running out of time. I know, Zoom. Sorry. Make sure you follow your host. My name is at Dallas Jacoby _ on Instagram.
And Bonnie No Geo, don't forget your underscores.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, we will see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.